So, I've got Grem in the studio for this new installment of the Pursuit of Sound with Dblcrwn podcast. Say what up, dude. Introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Grem. I am glad to be here. Honestly, man, I've been waiting for you to ask me to be on the show. I was like, where's the Grem episode? So I'm glad to be here, man.
It's the perfect time, you know. He's helping put on the big New Year's Eve show at Purple Buffalo that we got coming up. And before we get too far into that, I do want you to quickly tell people like a brief history of your time. Like, you've come from Arizona.
I did.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I don't want to put your viewers to sleep, but...
No, just a...
So my name is Grem. I hail from Phoenix, Arizona. I got my start in the underground music industry with desert parties and warehouse kick-ins and all that in Phoenix in the mid-2000s. Started spinning vinyl, and then the CDJs came out, and I had to learn how to do CDJs, and I got that going, and then the decks, the controllers and all that, the MIDI came out, and then I'm just like moving my way up, and we started throwing our own shows in Phoenix for a while. That got some traction. We moved it out of the underground and into the club scene, and all of a sudden I'm like 19, 20 years old in Phoenix, and we're flying all these dudes in from Australia and the UK and the Netherlands and Italy and all these different artists coming in. Yeah, so I felt like a rock star for a little bit, and some of the DJs that we would bring in, they'd be like, hey, I'm gonna get you back, Grem, so that they'd fly me to other states too. So I started traveling and playing music, and then I got too interested in the idea of being a rock star, and threw it all away for a little while, man. I had a couple of years there where I struggled with drugs and alcohol and addiction and depression and mental illness and all that. And I met a beautiful young lady in rehab one day.
Hey.
And just like any good alcoholic would, I followed her across the country to Charleston. And here I am. It didn't work out, just so you guys know. I think we made it about 5 months in Charleston before we were like fucking out.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got here, God. And I met a whole bunch of new friends like this guy here, and I feel like I'm home. I finally found a home.
You know, and every time I've talked to you, I've found out something new about you, and just when I thought I kind of knew you, which I don't really take too much at face value anyways, there's still another layer to your onion of your personality and who you are, and I just learned more about you on that like brief synopsis, and I'm just like, damn, dude, like it's so cool. And you're just so open and honest about everything, which I really tip a hat to, and that really described a lot more to me about your origin stories and how you got here that I didn't really know before. And so more on that stuff later, because I wanted things to make sense about describing about how you got to where you are with putting this show on the table for everybody to enjoy, which is crazy. I feel like this New Year's Eve show with, Import Champa, Something Strange.
Where's the flyer?
Yeah, the flyer is in the living room. Let's.
I didn't grab mine. I had one.
Yeah, here. Let's get these. Because I'm in a shoebox of a room. Whoops.
Skirt. This episode is brought to you by Juul. Now, Juul's not cool anymore. It's brought to you by Tool. All right, here we go, guys. This is the show.
Ooh.
Let me make sure that... I don't know if it's going to be backwards or not, but for the Instagrammers, for the viewers, for live, that is our show coming up. This is NYEE, New Year's Eve. You can go ahead and pitch. You're really good at that. You're good at the artist pitching.
Well, so it's pretty much the show of shows this season, I'd say. Like the sheer production value behind this, especially for like an underground sort of effort, is phenomenal. To bring in somebody like Import first off is just super rad in my opinion. The moment I first found out about Import from his song Level 9, like the Turtles one, I just was like completely into his sound, and the fact that I found out about everybody else basically, like Champa, In Orbit, Something Strange, and Prisms from this lineup. And you know, it's like I depend on my friends to show me new and good music, and the fact that y'all instilled like, you know, this much faith and backing behind this is that much more of a testament, because the more I look into these cats, the more I actually, you know, see ourselves in them and themselves in us, and that they're like, you know, we're working with artists within our reach humbly, but they're still very accomplished artists, and they're very talented and very special in and of themselves.
Yeah, of course.
You know, not to mention all the heavy hitters from here in town. You know, let's just go down the list one time formally. Import from Denver, Colorado. Champa from Philadelphia. In Orbit from Detroit. Something Strange from Denver as well. Prisms from Atlanta. Then here in Charleston, we got Grem, yours truly. Kraken, he's from Myrtle Beach. Solid Alibi. Domino. Dreadnought, another huge proponent behind this event. Yours truly, Dblcrwn, Noah Friends, and Gruffium, he's from here in town as well, but Squida and Mermaid and Kraken, they're from out of town in Myrtle Beach area.
That's the Station Underground Records crew too, so we had to get them involved. There's a couple of the artists on the local lineup here. There was no way that we could put together a show and not have them at least invited to come and play, you know, like they're like he said, they're staples. So
yeah, the Solid Alibi has been making some pretty solid moves recently. Like he's had his tracks played out by like Keizo, Excision, etc. And you know, everybody else has been really growing this past year. Like Grem, you know, the more originals I hear from you, the more I'm just impressed and inspired by your moves. You know, it's like
thank you, man.
Here in Charleston, we kind of gotta stay close knit. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, this is. I have to say, this is like not to just like toot our horn, but you know, I think this is actually like the best underground show Charleston's seen in a very long time, to be honest.
It's the biggest show of the year, no doubt. And it's funny because it's the last show of the year. It's the very last weekend of the year. So I'm excited about it, man. This is a long time coming. We tried to do shows a couple years ago. Reggie and I put a show together called Magnetic. We put that on at Purple Buffalo, and that was fun and cool, but there were a lot of other crews around town that were doing shows as well, and right now there's not that much stuff happening. After one of our friends passed away, some of you guys may know Cheddar, once he was gone, there was like a big void. There was like a big vacuum, and especially in just the underground scene of like events happening around town and things to be playing and booked and stuff to go out on the weekends and see your friends. And my whole thing, dude, is I want to create a memory for the audience to live in and remember for, you know, months or years to come. I don't really give a shit about making all this money. I want to make like an experience that people can like really cherish. You should be able to walk into a place like this and forget where you are, you know? Like a lot of the shows I did in Phoenix, we were really heavy on the themes and the decorations and the props and like the outside acts. Other than music, I can just book a musician, I can book a DJ, but like giant Tesla coils or like a big giant cannon that shoots like fog out, like I really like stuff like that. It's like different, you know. It
really creates that X factor in the event. And another X factor that is contributing to this New Year's Eve show is the 360 experience inside and the Function 1 speakers that are going to be set up outside. So you're really going to get something special, I think, every step of the way. And there's even like a part 3 where we're gonna have a Station Underground takeover in the sort of bass cave, quote unquote, a part of Purple Buffalo.
So in essence, it's a 3-stage event.
Yeah, in essence, and which is astounding. I mean, you had me at Function 1, let alone an additional 360 experience inside, let alone all the amazing acts. And local vendors, and we got a local food truck as well, Smash Burger. So we're going to be posting this up as soon as we can. Also, for everybody tuning in live, you can find this event on Facebook. Just type in NYEE Import, MPORT, Grem, something strange. Type in all the artists. You'll see it. Go there, click the ticket link. It's an Eventbrite link, and just get your tickets. They're literally only $25. It's a really good bargain. And, like Grem was saying, it's not about the money. It's really about starting to build out this scene. Like, you kind of got to do it yourself at the end of the day, from the bottom up,
for the culture,
straight up. And that's the proper approach. I feel like people, if you're just in it for the money, a majority of the time I think won't really work out, because that just is like the false start.
Oh yeah. And let's be honest, man, like, people can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
They can tell. People know, like, if you're genuine and authentic and your heart's in something, people notice. People will take note of that. If your whole ulterior motive is to just make money and fuck everyone else, people will fucking catch on to that.
Yeah, look.
So this is passion.
$50 a ticket, and there's there's a dinky stage. Yeah, like, no, it's quite the opposite. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck right here, and you'll be a part of a very special experience that is, well, it's like a memory for a lifetime of cherishing, is how I'm already seeing it. So hats off to you and Reggie Dreadnought. Y'all really are the lifeblood of this situation.
Well, thank you, man. I couldn't do it without you guys, though. This is a joint team collaboration effort, and I'm grateful for every single person on the crew with us.
Fuck yeah, dude. You just become cooler and cooler the more and more I know you.
Oh, shut up.
I will. So it's like, what I didn't know about you before is that you started out on actual vinyl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I got into the scene it wasn't even really that far back. You say vinyl and you're thinking like 90s, 99. The first rave I ever went to was in 2005. And so the only electronic music reference I had was like Dance Dance Revolution or like some Daft Punk that I saw playing on Toonami Midnight Run one night, when I was a kid.
My God.
So that was really, but I knew I loved it. I was like, I've never heard this kind of music before, but every now and then you hear like a dancey kind of pop song on the radio, but for the most part, like, EDM and breakbeat and house music and techno, like, that was all a brand new world for me. So I got offered a ride to a rave when I was like 15.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that sounds fucking cool. Okay, let's do that. So we pull up to this thing. I had no idea what I was in for. And we pull up to this thing, and it's just this warehouse and all these people standing around on the street outside it, and there's a ladder going up to the top.
A ladder entrance?
And I wait, are we going up the ladder? And they're like, no, that's just how they broke in.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Like, oh, okay.
What? It's like that?
So we went in. I guess the guy, he climbed the ladder, got to the top level, broke the lock that didn't have a security system on it, and then went down and turned the security system off. And that's how they did it back then.
That's crazy.
We would find warehouses where we knew the owners or the renters of the warehouse were out of town for the month or whatever, and we'd either pay the manager that looked after the building to open it, or we would just break the fucking door. And we would do what we needed to do in there until the police showed up, and then we would kindly leave before they took all our equipment,
Oh my God.
So I went in there, and I distinctly remember there was a second level, like you go up the stairs, and we could see through the floor. Like, there was a hole on the second level floor. You could see down into the dance floor on the bottom, and we were like, we're gonna die tonight?
Yo, like something collapsing. That's like a true bona fide rave party.
Yeah, it was underground as fuck. Yeah.
Oh my God, and that was Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
The warehouse scene was wild out there. A lot of really great memories were made out there. A lot of terrible memories were made out there. I saw some violence happen every now and then, because it's the underground. Like, it's wild. People are crazy, dude. And a lot of drugs, obviously. But I made some really lasting friendships, and I learned a lot. And I got to do something that I love to do, man. It was cool as hell. And And then when I came out here to Charleston, I was like, okay, they have a scene here. It's not necessarily the same as Phoenix is, but there's something to work with, and there's definitely something to build on, you know?
Well, that's crazy. So it's like you first went to a rave at 15, and that was that experience, and then that sort of interested you into looking into being a DJ yourself.
Eventually, yeah.
Like, what did you, like, how did you acquire your first DJ hardware, and like what was the first music you were spinning?
It was happy hardcore, bro.
Happy hardcore?
Yeah,
Are you
bro.
serious? Like,
hardcore till I die, man. Yeah.
like, a day to remember, or like what?
No. Like Brisk and Scott Brown and Stormtrooper and you know.
Happy hardcore? Like,
yeah.
You're talking about like,
it's like, okay,
bands?
No.
Happy hardcore is an EDM genre? What? Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So it's like have you ever heard of Dutch hardcore before?
No.
You ever heard of hardstyle? You know hardstyle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardstyle is what came out of hardcore. It used to not be so like. Hardstyle has kind of a texture to it, like its own characteristic now. But it's kind of an offshoot of what used to be. It all kind of stems back to old school. Everything is old school, you know. Like, man, I got to show you some examples eventually. But the first few shows that I went to in Phoenix were very happy hardcore driven, and there was a lot of DJs in Phoenix that were really pushing that sound, and there was just a huge market for it. And so when I became a DJ, I got my first turntables. They were Newmark's belt driven table.
Belt driven.
Yeah. Pretty terrible setup. It was called DJ in a Box. You could get it at Guitar Center for like $200.
Oh my God, yes.
It was 2 vinyl players and a little 2-channel, tiny little Newmark 2-channel mixer. And I started going to record shops and just trying to buy records because I didn't know how to beat match or if the speed needed to be the same or anything.
Yeah.
And so I was just train wrecking in my room for a little while until someone showed me how to do it, and I was like, oh no, that actually makes way more sense why mine's always sound like shit.
The mixes.
Go to the DJ at the rave and I'm like, why does it sound so much better than mine?
You got to toggle the BPMs.
You gotta fucking pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, that's one thing that I haven't known is like vinyl DJing and actual like placing the needle on the record and beat matching it like very custom, like without like a sync button or any of that stuff.
That's why when all the technology came up to where it is now, I was like, this is a piece of cake.
Yeah, it's
I
so
have
much
everything
easier
in here already. So
yeah. Then what was describe the whole thing about you getting into music production?
Sure. Like many of us musicians and DJs, I started with Fruity Loops.
Yes.
In like 2000 and I don't know, I would say like 2009 or 2010. I cracked a version of Fruity Loops on my computer, and very self-taught. There was not a lot of YouTube tutorials back then.
Not back then.
It was like, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. And you're gonna make a lot of shitty, horrible sounding music. Oh, yeah. And I don't know if this ever happened to you, man, but like, you ever find yourself like, you're like, I know what I want to write. I know what genre I want to write. And then like 3 hours go by and you're like, fuck, I made psytrance.
Yeah.
You ever done that? Like, you just go down the wrong direction, and then you like take a step back and go, oh, that's nothing like what I wanted to make.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And the beginning is very full of that, you know, like where you just you're trying to just be creative and make something, and let alone anything, let alone exactly what you want. You know, it's like those memes where it's like how I saw it in my head versus like where it came out. Yeah, and it's like Microsoft Paint versus like a 3D graphic of like a 4K picture. Something awesome.
Pixelated versus Photoshop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that was my experience for a while, man, and it was kind of like a little disheartening. I would bring in these big DJs from like the UK or the Netherlands that I'd been listening to for years, you know, and it'd be like, what do you think of this new song I just wrote in my room? And I had, like, do you know who the Organ Donors are?
No.
Those are good buddies of mine. They do, like, hard dance in the UK. They're, like, legendary state, like, show tech levels, like, anthems. And we brought them out, like, 4 or 5 times, and we got to be friends, so I showed, like, they're 2 brothers. I showed Scott. I was like, what do you think of this? And he was like, well, it's a bit shit, innit? And I was like, fuck, dude.
He said what?
It's a bit shit.
Oh, in it?
Well, it just sounds like shit, doesn't it? And I'm like, fuck.
Oh my god.
Maybe he's right.
Yo.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about it. You know? But that's the thing, though, dude. Is like, I surrounded myself with all of these people that they didn't know any better, so they would just be like, "Yo, it's gas. That sounds fucking sick. You should send that to the label." You know, because they didn't know what, like, technically what. You know, if it's phasing or it's out of phase or whatever, or, you know, they just didn't know. They just hear, like, a cool sounding song and they're like, that sounds cool. Then you show it to somebody who does know, and then they can tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I surrounded myself with all these yes men that were like, it sounds fucking awesome. And then, you know, I brought people around. That's why nowadays I try to get it around like a group of people that know a lot more than me. Because I want to learn. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, really. Right.
No, exactly. That's very wisely said. And that is it's a very fine line that you have to have this sort of discernment. So, you know, the more that you start working on music, the more you're able to discern the difference between, like, somebody just kind of like, you know, what's the word? Just like pandering to what you want to hear versus like being like a true critic, and let alone you just knowing that yourself, where it's like, oh, maybe like a few years ago I would have thought this drop is cool, but I know it's really not it right now. And, you know, that takes a while to kind of develop that sense of judgment. And I think those years are well behind you. You know, every day is a learning lesson still for, I think, everybody who's like a humble producer. But, you know, where did you start seeing your style start to crystallize?
I started finding my sound like last year. It's actually pretty recent, because I was trying all these different techniques to get the specific style and the specific sound that I wanted. And I just, like, I hadn't really landed on it yet, you know? I think I'm at the point now where my music can actually stand up to other, like, some of the industry standard stuff you'd buy off a Beatport. You know, you could mix my song and one of those songs together on stage, and there won't be a huge difference like before. Like,
exactly.
For instance, like in the loudness, I know I know what loudness levels I need to hit now. I know how to separate my low end from the top end, and how to, like, balance my mix. And so it's polished, but I'm still trying to find that signature Grem sound. I did a mentorship with Samplifier, and I am currently doing mentorship with Odd Profit. So we're trying to track down that specific, unmistakable Grem sound that you hear it and you're like, I fucking know who that is, you know?
Yeah, I'd say that is, you know, a very clear goal for a lot of us, you know, is being able to have that sort of sound where people, you don't even need to know who made it. Just listening to it, you just know, like,
yes,
oh, that's obviously like Subtronics, or, you know, that's obviously Grizz, or that's obviously Grem, you know.
That's what I want, because the thing that Odd Profit and I have been focusing on the last 2 weeks a lot is, like, he keeps saying, it's like, what's that Pixar movie? When everybody's super, no one is super. Do you know what I mean? The Incredibles.
Oh, The Incredibles. Well, I mean, I feel like what you're saying.
Yeah, if you have there are so many great artists out there now that are making really clean, really amazing stuff. But when everybody's doing that, then you have to really set yourself apart by doing something, like, unique and very different, or else you're just a really good producer making really interesting sounds that sound exactly like all the other guys that are making really interesting sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's just like you are inspired by these certain artists, and you're like, damn, like, you know, I love that artist and I kind of want to be like that artist, but at the same time, I can't be a cookie cutter.
Yes.
You know, because that's just swagger jacking and not original. So, you know.
I want to emulate them, but I don't want to be them.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very important thing to point out. And I think it's really important that, you know, you actually are seeking the mentorship that you've had it from Odd Profit and Samplifier. Like, I've done a workshop with an artist by the name of Sticky Fingers, and I think that there's just like a certain step that you have to take to be ready to have like receive lessons and get that critique and be ready for that investment to all that, you know, like, because it's so easy to just be like, I don't need help, like I'm good, like I'm more than good. Or
I
whatever.
hope I'm never like that, dude.
Yeah, you know, so it's like to humbly be able to
stay humble, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the moral of that story.
Yeah.
And yeah, have you not learned a whole plethora of knowledge from all those?
I have. When I worked with Samplifier, it was mainly focusing on mixdowns, right? And then now working with Odd Profit, we're mainly focusing on sound design. So I have a little bit on both sides, and I learned a lot from both of them for sure.
That's what's up.
If you're out there and you're trying to, you know, break into making your own music, and it seems like a foreign language to you, you're not alone. But the cool thing about the time we're in right now is you can watch streams on YouTube, you can watch tutorials, you can reach out to all the artists that you like on any of their socials. Most of them actually, surprisingly, will message you back. It's weird. Like, there's a couple of them that don't run their own Instagrams. They have a whole team of dudes doing that, so obviously you're not going to get in touch with Subtronics or something, maybe. But for the most part, you just reach out and, hey man, I really admire your work and I would love to pick your brain and ask you a question or two. Some of them do mentorship, you know, and you can learn a lot. You can learn a whole lot. It was really hard 10 years ago to do stuff like this, but nowadays you can just get on the internet and you can learn a whole new trade if you want to, you know. I love it.
Point in case, seriously. I encourage people to seek mentorship, or just like, at the very least, spend the time on YouTube University. Just like go to town.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's like every kind of tutorial out there now. Like, oh, this is how you make incredible like custom presets in Serum, like in the dubstep genre or whatever, you know, like there's pretty much no excuse at this point. It's just up to you and your creativity. But yeah, and so so you went from Fruity Loops to Ableton, which I did as well.
I went Fruity Loops, Logic.
Oh.
And because I had a Mac in 2010 and didn't really know what Ableton was yet.
Yeah.
And Logic seemed like the next best thing. Like I didn't want to work in Fruity Loops anymore. I kind of wanted to move to something else. And I was so stubborn about staying in Logic. I was like, this is just what I know. This is just what I like. I just know how to do everything in here. But all of my friends were in Ableton, and all of the tutorials I was watching that I wanted to emulate was through Ableton. And COVID happened, and we got our stimulus checks and a whole bunch of time. And I was like, now's the best time to do it. So I switched it over.
That's what's up. Yeah, Ableton is, like, in my opinion, one of the better DAWs to use for...
The DAW wars.
Yeah, I know, right? DAW wars, oh my god. Yeah, because I know that people are still using... people are still out here using Fruity Loops and stuff, and... sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, that people are still out here using Fruity Loops and all sorts of DAWs, to be honest. Like, you know, it's not just FL and Ableton, you know. So
some of the top guys were having a lot of luck in Fruity Loops, and sometimes it makes me wish I could switch back into it, just because there are like certain... It's really hard to explain, especially with guns. Okay, there's a certain timbre and tone in pitch bends, and I haven't cracked how they're doing this, but I see all the guys in Fruity Loops doing it with ease. It's like in their pitch automation for some reason.
Like the technology behind Fruity Loops is like slightly different than that of Ableton. Yeah, like the way that...
Because, okay, I'll give you an example. I've gone and found YouTube tutorials of guys making heavy tear out, like the kind of stuff like Automate or like Deviate or DK or Agony, or some of the really like avant-garde, like niche trash angry devil music, just crazy like unlistenable shit. The stuff I love.
Unlistenable
absolutely shit. Garbage shit. Like,
oh my god,
dude, I can't play most of the stuff I want to play at parties.
It's like too ignorant or something.
Yeah, people's eyes glaze over like sharks. They're just
like sharks.
They just don't know what to do. Like, I can't do a whole hour of tear out. But that's the thing. I'll find a video of a guy breaking down exactly how he made this sound, right? And I'll go step for step, shot for shot, plugin for plugin. He used the compressor in FL. Well, I'm going to have to use the compressor in Ableton. But it's the same exact stuff, right? I'll do every single step the same. And it's completely fucking, like, worlds different. And I'm like, where did I go wrong? Like, what am I... I'll get close sometimes, but then it's like this pitch bend. It's this, like... It's just like a sweep down in notation where it just holds this timbre, and I'm like, I don't know how. Yeah, so technical jargon bullshit. What I'm saying is there are some things that I just still can't accomplish in Ableton that make me wish I could go back to Fruity Loops.
Yeah, there's got to be a decent like pitch shift plugin though, and I know what you're talking about, man, because you go into your clip settings, just to nerd out for a second, like, you got your clip that you want to, do some transposition modulation, and then you find yourself toggling between the different clip modes. You're like, is it better in Complex Pro or Complex or
Texture always?
Texture always, says Grem.
I fuck with tones and textures, and unless we're talking about an acapella, then we're preserving that tone and timbre with Complex Pro, obviously. But if we're doing sound design and we're trying to screw up a waveform of some bass, tones and texture all day.
Tones and texture, and there's still parameters within that to mess with, like the flux and like the amount and stuff. But like
did you update to 12 yet?
No, because me neither. they took forever to go from 9 to 10. And then
it's like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on 11 now, and I'm pretty sure. Wait, oh my gosh, it's been forever.
I'm on 11.
Yeah. Oh, then I'm on 10. Yeah, no, I'm on 10, and I cracked 9 and waited for a while. Like 10 dropped, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it, because like I didn't want to I wanted to support Ableton and just not have to worry about any weird glitchy things when it comes to like third-party plugins and all that stuff.
That I started buying all my plugins for the last 2 years or so, just be the same reason. Like, I could crack them and I could be a fucking pirate and steal everything I need to steal, but I'd rather just support the groups that are putting these things out and have the serial number.
Exactly. It causes problems when you have to switch a computer or something like that. Yeah, dude. So what's up, man. And I do agree and support that. There's always some like things I want to touch on with certain artists. Like, what kind of what's one album that you could listen to for the rest of time? Like, if you could only listen to one album, like on repeat for the rest of your life, like what album?
So I would say Welcome Reality by Nero, but the first thing that popped into my head before that when you said album was Pendulum in Silico. Like, it just popped in. Pendulum is one of my all-time favorite groups ever. They bridged the gap between drum and bass and rock and roll in such a beautifully coherent way. It just made so much sense. And In Silico was my first love. What was the other one they did? Like Water something Water.
See, I don't know Pendulum like that.
Oh my god, it was even more rock infused and rock. It was more rock than it was drum and bass. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
because they've always been both. But then they were like, let's really lean on this rock and roll thing. So they did that. But Welcome Reality by Nero was my breakup album when I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I think without Nero putting that album out, I probably would not be sitting here with you today.
Damn, that's so powerful, man. And I don't listen to that sentiment lightly. That's the thing that it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Like you inspire and you be inspired. It's like this perpetual continuum. From artist to artist, from person to person, in this world of art and music. So that's a really beautiful thing to say, man. That people are out here saving lives inadvertently through their music,
through their art. Yeah.
And I never really got into Pendulum just because it never really I never really knew anybody that knew them.
I'm gonna put you on some shit, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving here without putting you on some shit. I'm gonna give you a fucking homework list of album. I won't give you too much music to listen to, but In Silico is like the fucking album, and then I can't fucking. It's not called Watercolor. What the fuck is it called? Have you heard of? Have you listened to Nero's Welcome Reality though?
I don't think so. And Nero is one of those people that I know who, I can see the logo in my head and everything, but I never really listened to him like
Innocence.
that.
You'll never. You heard that one? You have to be kidding me. Sleeping. Okay.
I'm still so ignorant to a lot of the EDM community genres and all that stuff.
If I played it for you, you'd be like, "Oh, I fucking know this."
It's one of those ones, yeah.
So Pendulum's album I was thinking of is called Immersion, and it's very rock oriented. In fact, if you look up Pendulum on Google, it says rock band. It doesn't say drum and bass.
That's crazy. So, and they were earlier in the whole grand scheme of things, what, 2000s?
Yeah, mid 2000s. I think they got their start heavy and really kicked up the pace with drum and bass in early 2000s, and then solidified themselves as I know people that had seen Pendulum 17 or 18 times.
Oh my god!
They stopped touring under that name now. They've gone on to do other projects like Knife Party.
Oh really? That's part of that was an offshoot.
Rob Swire, the guy, the singer, and I think he did some guitar as well. He was the front man of the band, and he's the one. He worked with Deadmau5 to do not Sophie's Ladder. What the fuck was that?
And see, I don't really know Deadmau5 like that either.
Who is this guy?
I know, right? People.
Where's my agent? This is ridiculous.
Where's my agent? Dude, yeah, it's I feel like I listened to so much more I don't even know, man. Just kind of more obscure. There's this weird thing in me that anything that's on the radio I'm not really interested in because it's so mainstream that it's where it's just that's it's just cliche and generic, and I always have shifted to underground.
Me too.
No matter what.
I used to be so stubborn about not wanting to hear any pop music.
Yeah.
I just always wanted to hear avant-garde, trash, underground, happy hardcore, garbage, garage UK shit. And, but then I booked this guy. He was DJing under the name Inverse, but I think he's called Code Black now, and he's from Australia. He was a really good friend of one of the DJs that I had been booking for a while, and so I started booking this guy Inverse and bringing him to come they'd spend a week at my house, and I'd bring him in, I'd show him around the United States and shit. We'd go travel, and then they'd play the show, and then I'd fly him back. But
crazy,
I brought him out to this desert party, and we were off-roading in my truck, and I ended up getting fucking cactus stuck in his fucking hand. This poor dude had his arm out the window when we're romping around, and he got this big jumping cactus. But he told me that night, after I pulled all of the needles out of his hand, of course, he was one day I want to make pop music. And I was like, what? You're a hardstyle DJ. Why would you say that? And he was like, it's fun. It's fun, and it's accessible for people. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, fuck, he's right. I listened to, ABBA or something.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun. This is fun music,
Oh, yeah. And I agree with that. And I still, as much as I have my sort of enmity towards the pop realm, there's still a part of me that I've in my head deep down it's like, yeah, I would love to like in the future be the guy that helps songwrite for people like, you know, Dua Lipa or you know, insert pop artist here like Bruno Mars or you name it, like people like that in the future.
I'll make a beat for Drake right now.
Yeah, no, exactly, dude. Like it's gonna be easier than making dubstep. That's for sure too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, for sheer accessibility and like future in the industry, you know, it's like it makes me wonder about asking you a question like, where do you see yourself even in like 10 years, as far as like music's concerned?
As music goes, I want to, so my main goal, I've been doing a lot of small goals lately, and I haven't been thinking about really big goals, but my smaller goals leading up to the big goals would be like get a label, you know, get it, like some releases on a label, like a well-respected, recognized label in the genre that I like, not just like some internet offshoot, and then get some representation this year, like, or in the coming year. I would like to have an agent that doesn't just sit on their ass. I had an agent all last year. I didn't get fucking jack shit. Not one show.
Well, hope he's not listening to this, but
I don't think that they are. But that's okay. So I would like to get some representation and be able to like release my music without having to think of, I have to make this whole fucking campaign and I have to make the graphic, the reels, the content, and push everything out myself on this schedule while working a job, while making music, while trying to do the shows. You know, I would like to be able to just make the music and give it to them.
Yeah, briefly, you are touching on such an important thing that it's become an overwhelming sort of thing to take on as like an aspiring artist, is that you have to now all of a sudden like
you do all these other things.
Yeah, you have to be a video editor, you have to be a videographer, you have to be a sound designer, you have to be a promoter.
Yes,
yeah, like
your agent, marketing, everything. Dude,
yeah,
it's a lot.
It's too much. Yeah, so I completely feel you in like, you know, your more short-term goals. Mm-hmm. But do you see yourself like in even say like, to segue to 10 years from now, like being like a sound designer for like, you know, like imagine like Transformers, they have sound designers and stuff making all that crazy like cinematic, you know, producer and type of thing. Like
so it's funny that you say that, because I toured Conservatory for Recording Arts a while ago in Phoenix, and my main idea was I want to work in Foley. Like I want to crunch some cereal and shit and get the recording and make the fucking footsteps in the new Star Wars movie or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That sounds fun and cool.
Right.
The market for new Foley artists is very like, who do you know kind of thing. So it it didn't seem like the thing for me. I knew a couple people that were waiting to get into studios for months and months just to get an internship. So that was something that I always wanted to do, is like, you know, score movies and mix down like the audio for movies, but I never really was able to get into it. I'd love to do that in the future though. I love editing video. I love making the sound and the soundtrack to stuff like that, so that would be cool. But dude, I just turned 35. I don't know if in 10 years I'm gonna be playing shows. I would love to still, but
you could very well be. You know, you could very well be, because there's people out here like, I mean, you know,
I would love
like
to own a label or an agency, but playing shows at 45, I'm like, oh fuck.
I feel that. You never know, man. You really never know, because yeah, like I said, there's people like older heads, like obviously like Deadmau5, Tipper, freaking Liquid Stranger, like the list goes on about people who are still clean 10 years older than us, but they are just, they're still staples. Yeah, they're touring regularly, and like still they didn't really need to shift to like cinema audio design or whatever. They're just doing what they had been doing, just on a bigger scale. Mm-hmm. You know, that's always
love to do that.
That's always in the cards. You know,
the thing I miss the most about being the rock star, the 2010 version of me that was doing shows and selling drugs and flying around the country playing shows and shit. It was the traveling, man. It was the touring. I would love to get back into that and be a touring artist again.
Yeah,
that's one of my goals.
Yeah, and it's cool to. Yeah, it's cool to do that, like to tour and put yourself out there. And, you know, it's always one way in the beginning, man, because, you know, it's not really as easy as your first tour is like, selling out stadiums like the Chainsmokers would or something like that. No, it's always more humble in the beginning, and it makes you thick-skinned and like, you know, if you're either built for that or you're not, you know.
You'll find out real quick.
Yeah. Can you sleep on the floor of this freaking random person's house that you met after the show? Like,
better get cool with a lot of shit real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's worth it to me, man, to put like, yeah, I've stayed in cities where they were like, yeah, we didn't get you a hotel room, you're sleeping on this guy's couch. Yeah. But I was like so excited to be playing my music in front of a new group of people, and they treat you really good too. They treat you like a fucking, like a king, like a royalty, because you're like the guy. They flew you in. Oh, you must be a big deal. Everybody wants to fucking, you know, treat you with respect and love and bring you in and show you a really nice time and be hospitable. And I fucking got really used to that shit, dude.
Yeah. And it's got to be so much easier as a DJ than as a band, because I did touring like in my, you know, like from like 18 to like 22-ish time period with the band, and that's like, I think, substantially more complicated because you all of a sudden got all these other people's lives involved in this, you know, like, oh, we got to cater to everybody's needs, and you know, and
you got the equipment,
all that stuff. It's like you have the 15-passenger van with, like, you know, the trailer, and you know, it's a lot more to deal with than, you know, hey, I could just be driving my car by my, like, with just me and my thumb drive and just go from city to city just do it like that. Like, it seems more economical.
Dude, the thumb drive. I used to bring 3 crates of vinyl to the fucking desert.
Yo,
to do shit like
desert?
That. Yeah, dude.
You're
getting a call there.
Yeah.
That was my whole fucking life, dude. Was like maybe 2 crates, maybe not 3 every single weekend, but I was playing consistently Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, sometimes 2 shows on Saturday. So, and it was all over the valley. So I would do a show and then like run to the next show and do another show. I was very busy for like a couple years straight running, especially in the summer. There was always something to do in Phoenix. In Charleston, it seems like we have something maybe cool to do every couple of weeks or once a month. There's like maybe something cool happening. In Phoenix, it was like, how am I ever going to decide what to do this weekend? There are 4 things happening. You know what I mean?
Dang. Like, see, and that's the difference between the scenes, man. And, you know, like, just to touch on what time are we at right now?
We're at 5.
Okay. I know it's about that time, so we can start putting pins in things. But, like, basically, the sort of, like, the overall motif of this podcast, like, it's like the pursuit of sound. It's almost like I'm trying to imply like what it's like for artists like us on the come up, you know, and what it means to get through these sort of glass ceilings and growing pains and all that stuff. Is like, it really does take a lot of effort and consistency.
That's the yeah, you just hit on it, dude. Consistency. That was going to be my one big thing to drive home to anybody that's trying to do this stuff. If you're getting started or you've been trying to do this for like a year or 2 and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Consistency. It, like, have you ever heard of like the idea of the muse? Like, you show up every day at the same amount, like the same time, with the same mindset of like, I'm going to create, and this like spirit of creation, the muse, will present itself to you and give you the inspiration that you're so desperate for, but only if you treat it like a job. You have to treat it like a job, or else the muse is going to laugh at you and be like, you're not serious about this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show up for you. Fuck you. But if you, every day, you're like, I'm going to, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, I'm going to put in some time into my craft, into my love, and I'm going to try to get better at this thing that I love to do. The muse will fucking present itself to you, and you have this like unlocked potential and this unlocked power of inspiration. And, the way that I do that, I've been trying to like, I like the idea of having a calendar by the studio desk, and every day just putting an X on the day that I did work, so that I can keep track of how much am I really putting into the studio, you know? Am I really sitting down for 10 minutes every day at least and trying a little bit of stuff, or am I like once a week maybe, like, I'll do it later?
Yeah, you know, and it does take just that self-discipline, and I like the metaphor about the spirit of creation. You know, you got to get to a certain point within yourself and be real about, like, you know, who am I trying to fool? Nobody. You know, you can't just like what you get from the universe is what you put into the universe. You know, like the universe isn't just gonna bless you with like just like the most advanced like talents, and you just like all of a sudden I sold my soul and now I can produce my ass off. No, it's like
I'm too old to sell my soul, bro. I got that already.
Yeah, Satan missed his shot. But no, it's like it's like that, dude. And you know, there's so many more outlets nowadays between TikTok and all these social media platforms and just things to get your stuff out there. You know, it's like just sit there and apply yourself over and over and over and over again, and you know, you'll see the results that you want to see from yourself eventually
if you stick to it. Yeah, I think that's a very important thing to say, and I feel like we could talk forever. I know that we've got some things to do, but final plug, y'all go ahead and get y'all's tickets for the big show at Purple Buffalo this coming up on the 30th.
Yep. Seriously, I encourage y'all to get y'all's tickets now and check out all of the artists, dig into their portfolios. You know, all these people have got a cornucopia of talent to bring to you. So, Grem, I do thank you.
Of course.
You're badass.
Add me on socials, GremTMC, at GremTMC on Instagram. If you go on Facebook and you just search for Grem, you should be able to find me there. I'm the coolest one in the search bar.
Yep, and you've got music out on all streaming platforms too, right?
I do. So all of my upcoming releases, all my IDs are going to be on Spotify soon. They're not on there right now. I do have some work with collaborations on Spotify. Go to my link tree in my bio. You'll find my work. You'll find my SoundCloud. You'll find all that stuff in there.
Yes, sir. And what's your SoundCloud link again, though, really quick?
I think it's AZGrem. SoundCloud.com/AZGrem.
Arizona Graham.
Yep, AZGrem.
Well, that concludes this awesome episode, and who knows? We'll probably have one again in the future.
Bro. Yes,
yeah,
this was cool. This was real cool.
I do appreciate it.
And you're right, we could talk forever about fucking music and a bunch of bullshit, so.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, you the shit.
Thank you, bro.
Thank y'all for watching. Stay posted, as always.